The biggest problem in this story isn't simply that Jacob lies, but that almost everyone believes they have to control the future themselves. Day 9 of reading the Bible chronologically was Genesis chapter 25 through 28, verses 1 through 8. And yesterday, Isaac actually gave me hope. His wife Rebekah was barren for roughly 20 years. Abraham and Sarah had faced that same problem and eventually tried to produce the promised heir through Hagar. Isaac did something different. He prayed. So I thought maybe the next generation learned. And they did, just not completely. Jacob and Esau grow completely different. Esau becomes a skillful hunter, man of the field. Jacob is described as a mild man who dwells in tents. But immediately Genesis tells us Isaac loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Father has his favorite, mother has hers. This family is already splitting into sides. Then Esau comes home exhausted while Jacob is making lentil stew. Jacob says, "Sell me your birthright." This is opportunistic. But Jacob doesn't deceive Esau here. Esau knows exactly what he is giving away, and Genesis gives us its judgment. Thus, Esau despised his birthright. So one brother possesses something valuable and treats it cheaply. The other recognizes its value, but is willing to exploit his brother to get it. Neither brother looks completely righteous. Then Genesis shifts back in time when Isaac was a bit more younger. A famine comes. God appears to him and says, "Stay here. I will be with you." But when men ask about Rebekah, Isaac becomes afraid that they might kill him because she is beautiful. And he says, she's my sister. There's Abraham's old lie again. Yesterday, Isaac broke one of Abraham's old patterns. Today, he repeats another. Breaking one generational pattern doesn't mean we've broken them all. Isaac learned patience, but he still inherited fear. And yet, God continues blessing him. Not because the lie was righteous. Grace is not endorsement. Isaac's failure does not make God unfaithful to the promise he already made. Isaac becomes powerful, conflicts over his wells. And this part actually shows another side of him. They fight him over one well, he moves. They fight him over another, he moves again. Eventually, nobody fights over the next one. And Isaac says, "The Lord has made room for us." He had enough military power to turn every dispute into a war, but he didn't. Then we come back to Esau. At 40 years old, he takes 2 Hittite wives. Genesis says, they were a grief of mind to Isaac and Rebekah. I don't want to add reasons the passage hasn't explicitly given us yet. Clearly, these marriages are creating serious trouble inside the covenant household. And notice something else. 2 wives. Again, Genesis is recording polygamy, but recording something is not the same thing as God approving it. Then later, when Esau realizes the Canaanite women displease his father, his solution is to marry another woman, Mahalath, from Ishmael's family, in addition to the wives he already has. It almost feels like, Dad doesn't like my marriages? Fine. I'll add a wife from the family. He identifies the visible problem, but his solution is simply to add another layer to it. Then Isaac grows old and blind and prepares to bless Esau. But here's the key. On day 8, yesterday, Rebekah already knew what God said. Before these boys were born, God said, "The older shall serve the younger." She has the promise, but when Isaac prepares to bless Esau, she panics and starts controlling the method. She cooks Isaac's favorite food. She put Esau's clothes on Jacob. She covers Jacob's hands and neck with goat skin. And yes, once again, how hairy was Esau? Because apparently goat skin worked. But what happens next is serious. Isaac asks, "Who are you, my son?" Jacob says, "I am Esau, your firstborn." Then Isaac asks how he found the food so quickly. And Jacob says, "Because the Lord your God brought it to me." He doesn't only lie, he brings God into the lie. Rebekah knew God's promise. Jacob wanted the blessing. But both act like God needs their deception to make his word come true. Then Esau comes home, he realizes what happened, and cries with an exceedingly great and bitter cry. And eventually he decides, when Isaac dies, I'm going to kill Jacob. And suddenly Genesis starts echoing earlier brothers. Cain and Abel. One brother sees the other receive what he wanted. Now, anger grows and murder enters the heart. But compare that with yesterday. Isaac and Ishmael were half brothers. Different mothers, different inheritance. Ishmael was sent away. And yet when Abraham died, Isaac and Ishmael buried him together. Jacob and Esau, twins. Same father, same mother, same home, and one is planning to murder the other. Blood relationships does not automatically create brotherhood. Rebekah sends Jacob away to save his life. Think about that irony. She manipulated everything to secure Jacob's future. And now her plan cost her Jacob's presence. She grasps because she's afraid of losing something. And the grasping itself makes her lose it. Then Genesis 28 gives us the part that changes the entire story. Before Jacob leaves, Isaac calls him back. This time Isaac knows exactly who is standing in front of him. No Esau clothes, no goat skin, no pretending. Isaac deliberately gives Jacob the blessing of Abraham. And that stopped me. Jacob went through all that effort pretending to be somebody else, to receive something God already said would come through him. The promise never needed the costume. It didn't need the lie. It didn't need Rebekah's manipulation. God can remain faithful through human sin without the sin becoming necessary. So week 2's question keeps getting harder. Can human beings trust God enough to stop grasping? Isaac sometimes can. Then fear brings back an old pattern. Rebekah believes God, but tries to control him. Jacob values the right thing through the wrong method. Esau despises what he has, then wants it desperately when it's gone. Maybe faith isn't merely believing that God has spoken. Maybe faith is trusting him enough that when circumstances look wrong, we don't sin trying to make him right. Because the promise never needed the sin. The promise never needed the costume. If you guys would like to read the full reflection, follow me on Substack, on author S.A. Guzman. I write full reflections on my daily reads.